Israeli War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz has threatened to resign unless Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sets out a post-war plan for the Gaza Strip. Mr. Gantz set an 8 June deadline for a plan to achieve 6 strategic goals, including the end of Hamas rule in Gaza and the establishment of a multinational civilian administration for the territory. "If you put the national over personal, you will find in us partners in the struggle," he said. "But if you choose the path of fanatics and lead the entire nation to the abyss, we will be forced to quit the government." Mr. Netanyahu dismissed the comments as washed-up words that would mean defeat for Israel. Reuters airstrike on Jabalia, 18 May. Reuters. Israel is pushing tanks and troops further into Jabalia, where it says Hamas has been regrouping. The growing rift comes as fighting rages at both ends of the Gaza Strip, with Israeli forces operating in the southern city of Rafah and the northern town of Jabalia, one of Gaza's historic refugee camps and an area the Israeli military previously said it had cleared of Hamas fighters. Mr. Gantz was speaking just days after another war cabinet member, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, urged Mr. Netanyahu to state publicly that Israel had no plans to take over civilian and military rule in Gaza. Mr. Gallant said he had raised the issue repeatedly for months but had received no response. He and Mr. Gantz say that maintaining military control in Gaza would increase Israel's security risks, while others, including far-right members of Mr. Netanyahu's ruling coalition in the government, believe continued control is necessary in order to defeat Hamas. In a televised address on Saturday, Mr. Gantz told Mr. Netanyahu that the people of Israel are watching you. "You must choose between Zionism and cynicism, between unity and factions, between responsibility and lawlessness, between victory and disaster," he said. Also among the 6 strategic goals he set out were the return of all Israeli and foreign hostages still held by Hamas in Gaza and the return of displaced Palestinian civilians to northern Gaza by the 1st of September. He also said Israel should continue to seek the normalization of relations with Saudi Arabia as part of a comprehensive process to create an alliance with the free world and the West against Iran and its allies. Responding to the speech, Mr. Netanyahu said that to meet Mr. Gantz's demands would lead to the end of the war and a defeat for Israel, the abandoning of most of the hostages, leaving Hamas intact and the establishment of a Palestinian state. Israel's war cabinet was established after Hamas attacked Israeli communities near Gaza on the 7th of October, killing around 1,200 people and taking hostages. Israel's military campaign against Hamas in Gaza has killed 35,386 people, the Hamas-run health ministry says. The chief of staff of the country's army, Herzi Halevi, has also privately pressed on Mr. Netanyahu the need for a day-after strategy, according to reports in Israeli media. The return of the Israeli military to parts of northern Gaza, like Jabalia, that were previously declared clear of Hamas has raised doubts about the government's strategy for eliminating the group. Mr. Halevi is said to have argued that, in the absence of a diplomatic process to establish a governing body other than Hamas, the military will be forced to launch repeated campaigns to keep the group at bay. Mr. Gantz proposed an American, European, Arab, and Palestinian administration that could manage civilian affairs in Gaza while the foundations are laid for a future alternative government. He added that Israel could maintain a degree of security control in the meantime. In Jabalia, the Israeli Defense Forces (IDF) said they fought battles with Palestinian armed groups. Palestinian medics said one of the Israeli strikes had killed 15 people. Hamas said Israel's brutal raids on Jabalia had killed dozens of civilians and wounded hundreds more.